Hello, everyone, and welcome to the player ratings from our game against Fulham, where we narrowly defeated 1-0. We'll include the player ratings and our look ahead to the upcoming weeks. So, what did you think, David, about our game against Fulham, the opening fixture?
Well, frustrating result. Considering the performance, it was an all-round decent level of performance, but it really warranted at least a point. It really should have had 3 points. I mean, you look at the XG creation everyone's talking about, and it was 3 goals to 1 effectively. And I think we're the first team to have that level of XG and not score a goal. So, it just says it all really about Everton's main issues at the moment in terms of goal scoring.
Yeah, I think frustrating is probably the key way to describe it, really. I mean, if you go through some of the stats, we've had 19 shots, which, if you hear 19 shots and Everton in the same sentence, you would usually think that we're being shot at, never mind having the shots. 9 on target compared to Fulham's 2. We just didn't really take our chances, and that's where we ended up losing the game. Obviously, they scored in the 70th minute or so, but before that, we could have been 3-4-0 up. The different chances we had, we just didn't take it's the final shot which we were lacking. Doucouré could have easily set us up with one had he passed the ball instead of shooting. Mopé got himself in a few good positions which he should have been scoring from, and then obviously the referee's decision to blow the whistle and not allow our goal, which we'll come on to as well. But all these little things which we should have been ahead of the game in, and it's really cost us. So unfortunate there. What did you think of the VAR, or not VAR decision, the disallowed goal?
Looking back at it, I can't work it out really, because Tarkowski doesn't really interfere. I mean, I thought he interfered a little bit more than he did from watching only just behind in the park end, but I wasn't convinced it should have been ruled out then. But watching it back again, he doesn't back into him. He's just stood exactly where he stood. Keeper comes over the top of him, bounces the ball on his head, and he blows for a foul. And the issue is he blows the whistle too early, and VAR can't interject. So that's one they need to look at. But why is it Everton every single time that end up with these sorts of issues?
If you'll excuse my French, but I think it's complete bullshit that was not a goal. The keepers are given far too much protection these days. The goalkeeper has quite literally run into our player, jumped over him, tried to do a triple backflip somersault over him to get the ball, and he's fluffed his lines up massively here. And he's just extremely fortunate that they haven't given that, because Michael Keane's shot went in the net, but he'd already blown the whistle at that point. And VAR, this is why VAR should be here, to see obvious mistakes and be able to correct them. And the one time that VAR should have been used, it hasn't been used. And I think that is a massive fault of the referees there, and ultimately cost us the game, because if we go 1-0 up, with our momentum that we had, it's a complete different game. Or we could have got a point from it, which was well deserved, and should have been 3, in my opinion. Interestingly, though, although we had 9 shots on target and they only had 2, we only had 40% of the possession. But again, it's not what you do. It's not how much possession you have, it's what you do with it. And I thought we attacked well. Some of Iwobi's running up and down the wing, the way he sprinted from his own half into their half and put a very good ball in as well. I think we do look like we have a lot of potential going forward. It's just that finishing touch. And obviously we've signed a few players now. We're looking at Jack Harrison as well. So just being more of a forward team and hopefully have some finishers behind us, it does look a lot more positive than last season, despite the loss.
I think there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on it. I mean, looking at that lineup, just coming on from what you've just said, I didn't expect the level of chance creation that actually came off that. I was going to the game thinking maybe I should drive back home once I saw that we had no striker on the pitch, because you just don't believe it. And I was at the friendly second half last week when we looked so toothless and couldn't create a bean or trap a bag of sand. But, they actually created really high quality of chances, and it was just taking them. Another thing was the fitness levels is one thing I wanted to ask you about, because Everton, they saved a lot of air miles. They really worked on fitness as a priority over the actual level of opposition, and they went unbeaten in pre-season and instantly lost their first Premier League game. But it's something that I don't know where to stand on this, because Everton seem to spend most of their time chasing the ball back because they're so poor at actually keeping it, that the reason their fitness levels need to be high is to
Yeah,
chase the ball. So, I'm not sure where to go with that one, but I was just thinking about it yesterday, and the real lack of substitutions, which Dyche is becoming notorious for, is because he doesn't trust the team and he wants them to work for 90 minutes.
yeah. I mean, if that's his plan, then fair enough. And to keep the energy levels high, with the fitness to be able to maintain that throughout the game, that's fine. But again, the squad depth is not there. But having said that, if you look at the team we fielded yesterday, the difference between last season and this season, it's actually not that different. Apart from Ashley Young in the team, they're all players that we had last season. But again, as you say, the chance creation and the quality, I thought, has massively improved. And it's just that finishing touch, the final shot, just wasn't there. And I think we were quite unfortunate. And had we been against a different team, some of those are going in, and we are winning that game.
How poor is it to end the season and then say we need change and then start a new season months later with the worst team that played on the final day? I mean, they've got two hands behind their back, haven't they? The management team at Everton, tied behind their back, because they're just so hamstrung.
Yeah, Peter says we should have been 3 or 4-0 up at half time, but our attacking players couldn't hit a bar, never mind the side of the frigging barn door. Yeah, it's just that finishing touch, as we said. The attacking play throughout the game, I thought, actually looked quite promising. Moving the ball around, getting forward. Some of the passes were very accurate, and I like that movement as opposed to just passing back. But again, it's just that finishing touch. But hopefully, with a few of our signings, and if Dan Juma, he was playing quite wide. Obviously, he came on later in the game, but I think we need that player who is just in the middle, ready to put his foot through the ball and can actually hit the back of the net as opposed to anywhere else. Yeah, exactly.
You can't underestimate the lift that a proper goal scorer would add to this team. It's the most pivotal position on the pitch, and it's the one we lack the most in. And goals win games. Goals get you points.
Yeah.
And if you can't score goals, that's why you look like you're going down or close to going down.
I think defensively we did look all right. Obviously the goal is a bit of a mess in the way that there's no one in the middle marking him, and you need to be able to track those runs. I am notoriously not a fan of Michael Keane at all. And I think when he plays, there's just a massive hole in the middle of our defensive line, which is a big problem. But I think overall it was an all right defensive performance as well, and we were just unfortunate that we weren't.
Yeah, I think that is one of the positives we can talk about, and obviously you can pull up some of these images, because it was a decent all-round performance, and Everton's defense was one of the strong points. Can you put up maybe? Yeah, this is the sort of team formation, and you can see it's a solid back four, nice and even, players on players marking. It's tight. It's going to be a struggle to break down this Everton team for the opposition, and I think Fulham really struggled. For as much as they passed it and passed it and passed it, they really struggled to find a way to break us down. Put next. And then you can see from Everton's forward line, this is halfway through the first half, Everton, it's something they've obviously discussed with Decore about pushing up, being that almost second striker. Like, you've got Neil Maupay, who's just been blocking the keeper's passing lane out to centre mid. Now the keeper's passed it out left centre back. So Maupay goes to close that line. Decore is coming inside. You can see they've been drilled, and we're not going to be easy to play through generally. Although there were moments still, especially down the full-back sides. And then again, you've got that solid line. You've got the two narrow attackers through the middle, preventing anything getting through that centre, push them out wide. And then you've got Onana and Garner sitting, which for me, they kind of didn't always get close enough to their men, but they were close enough here. And then you've got your inside inverted midfielders there on the wings, so you can see exactly what Everton were trying to do in formation and defensive shape. What they were trying to do from an attacking perspective, I don't know. But they did create chances, and I think most of that came from Everton pressing Fulham and winning the ball high up the pitch. I think that's when we were most effective, and it's something the crowd really get on board with.
I mean, it sort of felt like they didn't have a plan, which sort of was the plan. In the past, it's always been they're trying to do something so routine and they just mess it up and we don't get those chances. Whereas here, it was more sort of unpredictable with balls going in or the running, and it just felt like it was more energetic and they were able to utilize that in a way. So it was definitely a refreshing change to see the chances being created, but then it's the same old Everton not being able to score like the easy chances. Just expect any player of that quality to be able to finish.
You want to see that intensity, don't you? Like, I know you can talk about Bournemouth game, it had a very different set of circumstances against it, but you almost want to see that level of intensity and energy in every single Everton performance. That should really be the minimum. And I think that really did contribute to winning the ball back and making chances on the break, because Everton look so toothless when it comes to build-up play. And because they've only got Neil Maupay, they've got no focal point. So they're just the midfield three seem to go missing for most of the game and don't offer a pass outlet. So it's you end up with the likes of Michael Keane just hoofing balls into the right channel and they just go back to the keeper or out of play.
Oh,
they just don't, they just don't seem to know what the chance creation it is from general play. It's only on this counter attack and set pieces. We should be making the most of counter attack transitions and set pieces. We need a bit more pace in the side, I think, though, for the transitional play.
Yeah, I agree. And I think we need that target man that people know, give the ball to, and he can put his foot through it. Like, he needs to be in a position where he's just controlling around the edge of the box instead of coming out to help the wingers run forward and create the chance. He needs to just be there when the chance is created and put his foot through the ball. And it's just frustrating.
Danjuma might be the one to do that, or but he's not up to fitness, and he's
it will take time for them to gel with the rest of the players.
Really a winger. We can't be pinning that striker role on him for the whole season like we did with Maupay last year as an isolated 9, because he's not. And now, we're going again. And how many weeks are we sacrificing here? I know some in the comments talking about Harrison.
Yeah, I was about to bring that in.
He wouldn't be able to play probably till after the international break, and he will need games to get his fitness up. So
yeah,
I wonder how this is going to work.
Yeah, I think the summary of it is it's in such a dominant game, which we had, where we really should be winning comfortably as well. To go down to losing 1-0, it's just poor, and it's that striker and not shots on target, the finishing that we actually need, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? I think we're fairly together on this, that we were hard done by. Fulham, they are a decent team. They finished well last season. But if we're performing like that with the chance creation against them, then it does look more promising than last season. I did say as well that I don't think we're going to be in the relegation battle that we were last season. But if we can't finish our chances, then we might very well be. Looking forward then, we've got Villa on Sunday. I would put Villa and Fulham in a somewhat similar sort of ability. We're away to Villa. Do you think it will be the same sort of story, or do you think there'll be something different planned?
It's interesting. I think Villa are a bit more ahead of Fulham at the moment. I think they're ahead in terms of the programme and stuff, but we played Villa away on the second match day of the last season as well, if I remember rightly, because I was at the away game and we lost 2-1. And we struggled that day, but we got like a goal from Onana really near the end where Villa are a strong outfit. I think watching them a bit yesterday against Newcastle, they really struggled with the high line. They played a high line and they got exploited multiple times. But we don't really have the pace that Newcastle do on the break. So can we utilize the same strength? Probably not. I think it'll be a tighter game. we'll have to see. But I mean, looking ahead generally, you do have to wonder as an Everton fan. You can't help but think, when are the players going to play? Calvert-Lewin, how many weeks before he gets on the pitch? McNeil, nobody knows how many weeks he's meant to be out for. Harrison, if he comes in, he's injured.
Yeah.
How many weeks can we go for playing with no?
We could start a full starting 11 side just the
Amari
injuries.
Gray is missing. Apparently, he's not fit, but it sounds like an excuse.
Yeah.
Because even him yesterday up front through the middle, you'd think he would have banged one of those in.
Dele Alli as well, another one
Dele
who wants to play, but not.
I think he's just a bonus, but if he comes back, but
just to let you guys know that the chat is working, we are reading all the comments, so feel free to keep flooding the chat. And also, not very relevant, but I'm sure some of you would be interested. Liverpool have scored against Chelsea, so they're winning 1-0 away from home. Luis Diaz scored and 20 minutes played. But yeah, Villa's going to be an interesting. They've just lost 5-1 on the opening day to Newcastle. I don't think that fairly reflects their performance. I don't think they played that bad. It was actually quite a close game, especially for the first half, but they just sort of the floodgates open. It'll be an interesting game, but hopefully if we can keep our expected goals up but actually finish them, then it would be good. But as you say,
I think it's a trickier pairing, isn't it, up front
for
Villa than probably Tarkowski quite liked having Jimenez, and even Mitrovic is a good striker, but those two are similar profile. They're big, they're strong, they know they'll let you know that they're Ollie Watkins. Otherwise, he gets you running back towards goal, and you've got the other new signing they've got, which I can't even remember his name, but number 19. It's just escaped me, but he's a little fast, tricky. Is it Moussa Diaby? He's coming from Germany, and he looks like
Diaby. He scored yesterday, actually.
Yeah, he's a sharp player as well, and I think our defense won't like that. They won't like the movement, and they won't like the pace. So we have to be quite on our game defensively when they come. That's the one where you kind of think, right, who am I going to play at centre back? Is it worth bringing in Godfrey because of the pace?
You can't play Michael Keane. I say this so often, but he's just not up to scratch. He's the slowest man on the pitch. If you get past him, it's gone. It's done. I think his situational awareness is pretty poor as well, and he lets players run around him, create space, and then by the time the ball's in the net, he's like, "Oh, what's happened there?" And I just don't think he is anywhere near Premier League standard. Feel free to disagree with me, people in the chat, or David, but I genuinely would rather see him in League One. And send him on a free than actually have him, because I think he destroys our club and the shape our team has when he plays. I said this in the pre-match video a few days ago when I was with Jan, but I think there was a comparison last season between when Tarkowski and Cody were playing over when Keane was playing, and I'm pretty sure the goals started flooding in. The amount of fixtures we lost compared to getting any points, it was a remarkable, it was unbelievable, the stat. And I will try and find it for another video, but I just don't think he is anywhere near Premier League standard.
Yeah, and he's going to keep persisting with him, you know that.
Yeah, Peter also says we scored a perfectly good goal that was disallowed. Yeah, we discussed that earlier on, but we can't rely on. We need to be able
referees.
Yeah, and also on the other team making errors. Obviously, you need to capitalize on that. We've made plenty of errors, and teams have finished us for it. But if you're in a chance where you've created from open play, we need to be able to finish those goals, and we just didn't capitalize on that. So if we're looking forward, do you have any, I'm sure we'll cover this in a future video, but do you have any prediction for Everton Villa, or any looking forward in
It's early to say, isn't it? I mean, there's promising signs. I just think, well, we haven't got a striker on the pitch. It all depends on whether he was prepared to throw Calvert-Lewin in for even half an hour against Villa, but you've got to think at that point it might be too late to go to.
I don't think you can rely on a player that is so injury prone. Yes, we've seen a few good moments from him in a few seasons ago, but just recently, apart from Brighton, I don't remember a good performance. And if a player is that injury prone and he's going to come in for 1 week and then be out for 6 or 7, he's just not a reliable player you can have in the squad.
No, we can't rely on him. We have to buy an actual striker, and that's why you've got maybe Harrison coming in. That's a loan signing. Still talk of Nonto. I don't know. I'd quite like to see Nonto come in. To be honest, I think he would get some real excitement in there. I was watching him for Leeds against Cardiff last week. They played him up front because they've got their own striker issues, and even there he was wriggling through, getting the box. They couldn't tackle him. Just to have someone like that with the pace. It's a bit like Amari Gray, but I think with a lot more higher ceiling, a lot more potential. That would be an asset. But we have to sign a striker. Even if we don't sign a senior striker, then this window's a failure.
Yeah, I completely agree. We've done well so far with some signings, but they're yet to be proven. Obviously, in the past, we've signed some big names and they flopped. They've cost us a lot of money. So I feel like they've gone down a different route. Trying to sign young players with good potential, and I hope it pays off. But obviously, a few of our signings are injured. Quite a few of our normal players are injured. And obviously, it takes time for new players to gel with them and get a system going. But hopefully, they need a striker that can finish, because we're signing wingers as well. I feel like we have momentum going forward, as seen yesterday, but it needs to be that finishing touch. I guess we're wrapping up, guys, very shortly. So I guess we'll just address some of the comments before we wrap up. Feel free to put any in if you...
I was just going to say we're playing Wolves and Sheffield United after that, before the international break.
Yeah, and I think, Doncaster as well in the Cup.
Doncaster in the Cup. I think they're fixtures you can't be letting go off too easily. Particularly like Wolves are really not looking so clever at the moment. They haven't played, have they, till tomorrow? So can't really judge them. But just based on what I'm hearing, I'm reading, I'm not who left the club. I would fear for Wolves a little bit for not having a great season.
I was going to make a video later in the week after this, so feel free to tune in, guys. Probably be on a Wednesday. But I was going to make my full season predictions of where everyone would finish 1st to 20th, and I addressed this in the last video a bit, but I didn't say the whole thing. And I actually had Wolves, bit of a spoiler. Don't let that stop you tune in. But I said Wolves and Sheffield would go down.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Again, even though it's early on and we don't know who's going to be in the relegation battle, these are key teams that we need to pick up points. And in fact, 3 points, not just one.
That Villa team, you look at the Villa team and you think you shouldn't really beat Villa. I know anyone can beat anyone, but statistically looking, going away to Villa Park, we never win there in recent years. We always struggle. We always get hard done by, and they've got a really good team now. They've really built it, and they've got the likes of Tielemans just sitting on the bench. So you don't expect much there, but those other 2 games, we put the pressure on ourselves.
I said in the pre-match, I said in the pre-match that Everton would beat Fulham 2-1, which, looking back at it, we actually could have done. We were unfortunate. Villa is going to be a difficult game. I view them as quite a decent team, but then Wolves, Doncaster's in the Cup, but it shouldn't really be a bother. Wolves, Sheffield, they should be big games that they're sort of must wins. And I know it's sort of stupid to say that after one game in the season, but we all know the reality of our team. And last season, I'm pretty sure we lost 3 or 4 games on the trot to teams that were 20th. And had we beaten those teams, we wouldn't have been anywhere near the position we would have been in. So I think we need to know the teams around us, the ones that we're trying to beat. And then we've got Arsenal and Brentford. Obviously, they are good teams. But then again, we have Luton, Bournemouth, followed by the shite and West Ham. But there are teams in there which are must-wins, followed by hard teams. So it's going to be an interesting one. And we need to make sure we win those teams where our opposition are finishing in places around us. Right, let's address some of these comments then. Look at the goal we conceded. Keane was too slow to recover and forced Patterson to come out across, which left a space for Fulham to score. Yeah, that's what I meant. His spatial awareness is not there, and he's so slow that if he does make a mistake, which is far too often for my liking, he isn't able to recover back in the position that he needs to be. Again, on the centre-back pairing, got no doubt Branthwaite will take a shirt off him soon. Dyche has only had a couple of weeks training with him, seeing what he's like. I like Branthwaite. We have a few players in the team who are young, talented, and really get behind the idea of playing for the shirt. Gordon was one of those players before he was a rat. We've got Garner, who I think fans love at the moment, and he's someone young and can really get behind. So I think Branthwaite fits that sort of profile, and I'd love to see him involve more. What's your opinion on Branthwaite?
Yeah, I think he's a good player, and he's left-footed. You know, you can't undermine the value of having a left-footed centre back. But he's equally good on his right. He looks good. He's strong. He's big. He's not afraid of going in. He's aggressive. He likes to go into midfield, even just try and win that first tackle. He won't sit back. I see he could do a bit of a Mina role. I think he could fill into that sort of position.
I was a big fan of Mina. I really liked him and his style of play.
Because he's similar, sort of. He's over 6 foot. He's big. He's got long legs. He likes to block things. He gets out and he's aggressive.
He was such a shit house as well. Some of his emotion, sitting on top of Pickford. It's good though.
Like that, but
no, but those players are very useful because you can undermine your opponent, get in their head, rattle them a bit, and it was sort of like what Richarlison did. And I think they did make a big difference in the team. Sorry. We haven't beat Villa since they got promoted. How can we beat them this time? Villa are someone not to be underrated. They are a good team. They've been managed well. And I think they'll do well this season. Again, just a quick note, Liverpool have scored again. So 2-0 against Chelsea, half an hour played. Salah scored the second goal. They're not a bad team. They're not someone to be undermined or underrated. So it'll be an interesting game. But I think if we can try and sort out our shots on target or get some, I'd see it as like not a practice game, but I think this isn't the game where we're like, holy shit, we need to win. It's more the teams coming up, as we mentioned, like Sheffield, that are really going to be the big one.
It's one where I think, like, if you had Damari Gray, which we don't seem to have, I'd play him up front instead of Mopey. Not because Mopey had a bad game, although he should have finished his chances, just because of his pace. And we'll be playing on the break, and they do play a really high line. And to have someone with that pace running in behind, even with a Pickford long ball from a corner, that's one or something, you can exploit them that way. And I think it's a shame. We need to sort this out quickly.
Well, Iwobi had wheels yesterday. He ran from our own half straight, and that was it was such a refreshing thing to see. Yeah, but it was great to see.
That drive.
Mr. Blue Sky says, I know we lost yesterday, but the performance was good. I'm optimistic about this season. Dyche will bring a couple more in and start to get things right. I think yesterday the performance was good. I think apart from, again, the finishing, which is the key issue, I think overall it was a good performance. We really took it to them. We dominated the game, not just one half, but I think both we should have been on top. It was just annoying and frustrating that we couldn't get our finishing chances. I think the goal for Liverpool might have been disallowed because it's gone back down to 1-0, but I'll keep you posted on that. But yeah, I think with the new signings and get actual strikers instead of just wingers or people with finishing, I think it'll be a very different story for us. Peter says, I don't like how Dyche played Garner out of position as well. If he didn't play well, I couldn't blame him. It's not his fault. He's being played out of position. That's why we need players to come in and we can utilize people's actual talents and play them where
Dyche will play you out of position if he thinks you're in the best 11, even if you can't fit in.
Which is a problem because
he chooses the best 11 players, not the best 11.
Which is a massive problem because if you're a great player, but you're playing in the wrong position, you can't utilize the skills of why you're a good player, and all of a sudden you become a much worse player, and that's a big struggle.
He's the one you want sitting in that midfield because he's the one who's going to look for the ball and keep things ticking. While he's out wide, you've got Onana just walks away. You've got Garner who's just he'll look for the ball, but you don't want to use him because he'll give it away. And then you've got Decore goes hiding as well. So you're playing it in the wrong place.
Villa will give us issues. DB looked bright. Yeah, he did. But hopefully we'll learn from that and we can learn to control the midfield a bit more and control possession, because our possession was low, but obviously it's how you use the possession that you have, which I think we did well. But yeah, it'll be interesting against Villa, and the prediction's going to be a hard one to give. Would you go with your head? Do you go with your heart? It'll be interesting. But yeah, I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. We've got a few videos coming out in the week to look forward to. We'll have the preview on Thursday, I believe, for Villa. We'll have another one in the week just about looking ahead, looking at the season, where we'll finish. So that'll be a good one for everyone to tune into, get involved with, put your predictions below. We've got Villa on Sunday, so look forward to that, and hopefully we can actually finish some of our goals. I've been Jonathan, been joined with the lovely David. Thank you very much, and I hope you all have a good week. So look forward to seeing you soon. Have a good one, guys. Take care.